I'm Kallie, and the day my mother tried to erase me was the day I finally stopped begging to be loved. She stood in the lawyer's office with a calm smile, signing papers that would leave me with nothing, like I was a stranger, not her daughter. My sister Brooke squeezed Mom's hand like she'd won something she'd been chasing for years, and when the pen lifted, my mother looked straight at me and said, "This is what you deserve." That's when I realized the only way to survive them was to let them believe I was broken, right up until I proved I wasn't. I used to think love was something you could earn, like it was a grade, like it was a ribbon pinned to your chest if you ran fast enough, smiled sweet enough, stayed quiet enough. In our house, love wasn't handed out, it was awarded, and the winner, always, was my sister Brooke. Brooke had the kind of charm that didn't ask permission. She laughed loudly, touched people's arms when she spoke, made teachers and neighbors feel like they were in on a joke. Even as a little girl, she seemed lit from inside. Me, I was the one who stayed in the doorway, reading faces before entering a room. I learned early that my mother's moods were like weather, predictable if you watched closely, dangerous if you didn't. My mom, Diane, never said, "I love Brooke more." That would have made her sound like the villain, and Diane didn't believe she was the villain. Instead, she said things like, "Brooke has confidence. That's why people like her. Brooke knows how to present herself. Brooke doesn't sulk. Kallie, smile, you look ungrateful." If Brooke got an M, Mom said, "Still impressive." If I got an A, Mom asked, "Why not an A+?" And it wasn't just school, clothes, hair, friends, hobbies, everything about me was a comparison. Brooke tried out for cheerleading once, didn't make it, and cried. Mom brought home her favorite ice cream and rubbed her back like she was fragile glass. When I didn't make the varsity swim team, Mom didn't hug me. She sighed and said, "Well, Brooke didn't have trouble with tryouts." The worst part wasn't Brooke winning. The worst part was that Brooke learned to enjoy the winning. She learned that she could walk into a room and I would shrink. She learned that if she rolled her eyes at me, Mom would follow. She learned that my mother didn't just prefer her, my mother needed her. That Diane had built an illusion around Brooke, the golden daughter, the proof that Diane had raised someone right, and I was the shadow that made Brooke's light look brighter. When I was 19, I got a scholarship to a state university 2 hours away. I still remember how I told my mom sitting at our kitchen table, hands shaking around an envelope. Brooke was scrolling through her phone, barely listening. "Mom," I said, "I got it. Full tuition, I don't have to take out loans." For 1 second, I saw something like surprise on Diane's face. Then Brooke looked up and said, sweetly, "That's good. It's not like you're going to some Ivy League." My mother chuckled like that was adorable. And then she said, "Just don't embarrass yourself, Kallie. Remember, you represent this family." I went upstairs and cried into my pillow like I'd failed some invisible test. But when I moved out, something shifted. Not instantly, not in a magical movie way, more like I could breathe without being measured. I made friends who didn't treat me like a runner-up. My closest friend was Maya, blunt, warm, the kind of girl who looked people in the eye and didn't flinch. One night, after listening to me vent about my mom for the 100th time, Maya said, "Kallie, I don't think you understand. Your mom doesn't want you to succeed. She wants you to need her." I laughed like that was ridiculous. But the idea stuck, like a splinter. I came home less often. When I did, Brooke always had something new to show off: her boyfriend, her job, her apartment, her social media following. She'd float through the house like she owned the air. Then, the summer I turned 22, my grandmother passed away. Grandma Elaine was the only person in my family who loved me without a scoreboard. She used to keep peppermint candies in her purse and slip them into my palm like I was still little. At her funeral, my mother cried loudly. Brooke cried prettily. I cried quietly because I'd lost my safe place. After the service, Diane clutched my arm and whispered, "Your grandmother adored you." Sometimes I didn't understand why. She smiled while she said it. It landed like a slap. That night, I sat on Grandma Elaine's porch swing, staring at the dark yard, and I realized something that made my stomach go cold. My mother didn't just compare me to Brooke. My mother resented me for being loved by someone she couldn't control. The real betrayal came a month later. I got a call from Diane. Her voice sounded sugary, like she was trying on kindness. "Kallie, sweetheart," she said, "I need you to come by tomorrow. There's something important we need to discuss as a family." As a family meant Brooke was involved, which meant the conversation was already rigged. When I arrived, Brooke was there, legs crossed on the couch, sipping iced coffee like she was waiting for a delivery. Diane sat across from me with a folder. "We're making some changes," she said. "It's time we talked about the house." Our house wasn't fancy, but it was in a good neighborhood. Diane had always talked about it like it was a legacy. "I'm not sure what you mean," I said. Brooke's smile tightened. Mom slid the folder forward. "I'm transferring the deed to Brooke." My throat went dry. "Why?" Diane's eyes narrowed like I'd asked something offensive. "Because Brooke has been here for me. Brooke helps. Brooke is reliable." I stared at her, trying to keep my voice steady. "I'm in school. I'm building a career. I've been paying my own way." Brooke leaned forward, voice dripping with sympathy. "Mom just wants someone who's present." I felt heat rise in my face. "So I'm being punished for leaving?" Diane snapped. "Don't twist this. You always make yourself the victim." And then she said it, the line that made everything click into place. "Brooke will take care of me when I'm older. You have your own life. You never needed me." It was a lie. I had needed her desperately. I just learned to survive without her help because her help always came with chains. I stood up, hands trembling. "So that's it. I don't matter." Diane didn't even blink. "This is what's fair." Fair. Like fairness had ever been part of our family language. I walked out without saying goodbye. In my car, I gripped the steering wheel so hard my fingers hurt. My chest felt like it was collapsing. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Brooke. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be. You never would have kept the house anyway." I stared at the screen until tears blurred the words. That was the moment I stopped trying to be chosen. That was the moment revenge stopped sounding like a dirty word and started sounding like justice. For weeks, I did nothing. Not because I didn't want to, because I didn't know how. My mother had always painted me as the sensitive one, the dramatic one, the girl who couldn't handle reality, and part of me still believed it. I kept hearing Diane's voice. "You always make yourself the victim." Maya listened to me spiral, then said, "Okay, let's get practical. What do you actually want?" I swallowed. "I want her to see me. I want her to feel what she did." Maya nodded slowly. "Then you don't scream, you don't beg, you don't chase, you build something so solid they can't rewrite it." That night, I opened my laptop and started digging not into feelings, into facts. I pulled up public property records, mortgage information, tax history. I looked up the deed timeline, and that's when I found something strange. The house wasn't fully paid off. There was a second lien, a loan taken out against the house a year earlier, under my mother's name. My pulse thud. Diane had taken out debt and hadn't told me, which meant she was gifting Brooke a house that came with a silent anchor around its ankles. I called Maya immediately. "So, she's not giving Brooke a prize," Maya said. "She's giving Brooke a trap." I stared at the screen, heart racing. "But Brooke doesn't know." Maya's voice went soft. "Kallie, your mom knows exactly what she's doing." That's when the revenge plan formed, not loud, not cruel, not messy, just inevitable. I decided to do what Diane never expected from me. I decided to be calm. I started showing up again, not like the old Kallie, desperate and aching. Like a woman with boundaries. I visited once a week. I brought groceries for Diane. I asked about her day. I smiled through Brooke's smug little comments. Brooke hated it. I could tell, because she couldn't provoke me into crying. And Diane preened, as if my presence proved she was still the center of my universe. One afternoon, as Diane complained about her bills, I said lightly, "You know, I've been learning a lot about finances lately. Debt, equity, loans. It's fascinating." Diane's eyes flickered, just for a second. Brooke looked bored. "Okay, nerd." I smiled. "Yeah. I guess I'm just trying to understand how people make decisions with big assets." Diane's jaw tightened. "Why are you saying it like that?" I shrugged. "No reason. Just interesting. The key to revenge isn't rage. It's patience." A month later, Brooke invited everyone to a celebration dinner at a trendy restaurant downtown. She wore a white dress like it was a wedding rehearsal. She made sure the waiter said congratulations loudly enough for nearby tables to hear. Then she raised her glass and announced, "To Mom, for finally doing what she should have done a long time ago, making sure the right daughter gets the family home." My stomach twisted, but I kept my face smooth. Diane smiled like royalty. "Brooke deserves it." Everyone looked at me, waiting for the quiet sister to swallow it. I set my napkin down carefully. Then I said, "Brooke, have you checked the loan paperwork yet?" "Brooke, have you checked the loan paperwork yet?" The table went still. Brooke blinked. "What loan paperwork?" Diane's smile froze. I tilted my head, voice gentle. Oh, you didn't know. Brooke let out a short laugh. Know what, Kallie? I leaned forward just slightly, like I was sharing a helpful tip. The house has a second lien, I said. Mom took out a loan against it last year. It's attached to the property. When the deed transfers, so does the responsibility unless it's paid off. Brooke's face drained of color. What are you talking about? She snapped, turning to Diane. Mom. Diane's hand tightened around her glass. It's not a big deal. Brooke's voice rose. Not a big deal. How much? Diane tried to laugh. Honey, calm down. It was for expenses. 4 renovations. Brooke cut her off. How much, Mom? Silence. Then Diane muttered, 80,000. Brooke's chair scraped back. 80? Are you out of your mind? You said you were giving me the house? I am, Diane insisted, and you can handle it. You have a good job. You're responsible. Brooke's eyes flashed. So this is why you gave it to me, so I'd pay your debt. Diane's voice sharpened. Watch your tone. And there it was, the illusion cracking. Brooke wasn't the golden child because Diane loved her. More. Brooke was the golden child because Diane needed someone to carry her choices without questioning them. And for the first time in Brooke's life, she realized she wasn't being crowned. She was being used. Brooke turned to me, eyes blazing. You knew. I nodded slowly. I looked it up. Why would you do that? Diane hissed, like I'd committed a crime. I met her stare. Because you always told me to be responsible, to pay attention, to not embarrass the family. Diane's nostrils flared. You did this to humiliate me. I smiled, small and steady. No, I did this to tell the truth. Brooke grabbed her purse. I'm not paying your debt, Mom. Diane's voice rose, sharp and desperate. After everything I've done for you, Brooke laughed, bitter. Everything you've done? You mean everything you've done for yourself? She stormed out, leaving Diane shaking with fury. And the whole table stared at me, like they were seeing a different person, because they were. After that dinner, Diane didn't call me for 2 weeks. When she finally did, her voice was cold. You're enjoying this? I sat in my apartment, sunlight spilling across the floor, and I realized something strange. I wasn't enjoying it. I was grieving, because even after everything, a small part of me had still hoped my mother would choose me when the truth came out. But Diane didn't choose truth. She chose control. I'm not enjoying anything, I said quietly. I'm done pretending. Diane scoffed. You always hated Brooke. That's not true, I said. I hated being treated like I was less, and you taught Brooke it was okay. Diane's voice trembled with anger. So what now? You think you've won? I took a breath. No, I said. I think I've finally stopped losing. Then I said the words I'd never said before. Not like this. I'm going no contact. Don't come to me when you need something. Don't call me when you're lonely. You made your choice. The silence on the line was heavy. Then Diane whispered, like a threat, you'll regret this. I smiled, tears stinging my eyes. No, Mom. I already regretted the years I spent begging. And I hung up. A week later, Brooke showed up at my door. Her hair was pulled back, face bare, like she didn't have the energy to perform. She looked smaller, human. I didn't know, she said immediately. I crossed my arms. About the loan. About all of it, Brooke admitted, voice rough. About how Mom does things, how she sets people up. I studied her. Part of me wanted to slam the door. Part of me wanted to hug the little girl who'd also been trapped, just in a different cage. Brooke swallowed. I thought I was special. I thought I earned it. I didn't gloat. I didn't smile. I just said, she made you think love was a prize. Brooke's eyes filled. I'm sorry. That apology didn't erase everything, but it cracked something open. We sat at my kitchen table like strangers trying to translate an old language. Brooke told me. Diane was furious, blaming me for turning Brooke against her. Diane had demanded Brooke take the house anyway. Brooke refused. Diane called her ungrateful. Brooke laughed once, humorless. I guess I'm you now. I looked down at my hands. It's not a good role. Brooke wiped her face. Kallie, how did you survive her? I thought about Grandma Elaine's peppermint candies, about Maya's blunt kindness, about the scholarship letter, about every night I cried alone and still got up the next day. I built the life she couldn't control, I said, one brick at a time. Months passed. Diane tried to regain power. She sent guilt messages. She told relatives I was unstable and spiteful. She implied I was jealous, but I didn't chase the narrative anymore. Because here's the truth, Diane never understood, when you stop begging for love, People lose the ability to punish you with its absence. Brooke and I weren't suddenly best friends. Healing isn't a montage, but we started talking carefully, honestly. We compared notes like survivors. And one day, Brooke said, quietly, "Mom always told me you were weak." I met her eyes. She told me you were perfect. Brooke shook her head, bitter. Turns out she just needed us in our places. That's what my revenge really was. Not humiliation. Not screaming. Not destruction. My revenge was exposure. I broke my mother's illusion, the one where she was the wise, selfless matriarch and I was the disappointing daughter. I showed the truth in daylight. And then I walked away. A year after that dinner, I got a letter in the mail. No return address, but I recognized Diane's handwriting, immediately tight, controlled, like she was strangling the paper. Inside was a single sentence: "You'll come back when you realize family is all you have." I stared at it for a long time. Then, I folded it, slid it into a drawer, and went back to my life. Because family isn't who claims you. Family is who holds you with open hands. And for the first time, I wasn't living to be measured, I was living to be free. If you've ever been compared, dismissed, or made to feel like you had to earn love, pause and ask yourself who benefits from you staying small. If this story hit something personal, like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need the reminder. You are not a runner-up in your own life, and tell me in the comments, have you ever had to break someone's illusion just to finally breathe again? Illusion just to finally breathe again.